Hello and welcome everyone to this week's Champion Spotlight. My name is Freddy MLBB, and in today's Spotlight video I'll be featuring a brand new tank, Uranus, the Ethereal Defender. Playing him, I predict he will quickly rise to the top of the win percent chart and has become one of my personal favorite tanks. So yes, he will be featured a lot in the upcoming daily live stream, so stay tuned if you want to see a little more of that. Now in this video I'll be covering spells, builds, emblems, and some gameplay. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Let's get started with his first spell, Ionic Orbit. Uranus releases two energy spheres that orbit around him, dealing magic damage and reducing the enemy target's physical attack and magic power by 15%. On top of that, it slows their movement speed by 40% for 2 seconds. Each stack of radiance increases the damage dealt by 3%, and each energy sphere can only deal damage to the same target once. The second skill, Transcendent Ward, is where Uranus generates an energy shield that absorbs damage for 4 seconds. It also grants him immunity to slow effects and increases his movement speed by 30%. The shield deals damage to enemy heroes when broken or at the end of its duration. It's also noteworthy that you can use it to engage and rack up some free stacks of your passive. Which brings us to his ultimate skill, Consecration. Uranus unleashes energy stored within his body to temporarily disable a designated enemy hero, dealing magic damage whilst granting himself a radiance effect. After briefly disabling the target, Uranus pulls himself and the target together, dealing additional magic damage. Keep in mind, this effect can be stopped whilst he channels the enemy champion. As you can see, also for engaging or taking out the squishies, this is a great spell. Now what makes Uranus so great is his passive, Radiance. It's by far one of the strongest passives in the game. Uranus absorbs energy generated by attacks made against him to strengthen himself, regenerating 3 to 10 HP per second for each stack. This effect lasts about 8 seconds and can be stacked up to 20 times. As you can see, it makes it really easy for him to continuously stay in combat. Now remember, using his second spell, Transcendent Ward, is a great way to get some free stacks rolling while you're in lane. On top of that, remember that using his first spell, Ionic Orbit, will do more damage based on the amount of stacks you have. Which brings us to his builds. I've taken the liberty to create 3 basic builds for you guys. Starting with the standard build, which provides tons of tankiness, some nice health regen for his passive, and also a little bit of extra return damage with bladed armor and cursed helmet. Second off, we're looking at the burst build. Now I must warn you guys, this one is real tricky to pull off, but can do some nice damage. But I must warn you, trying this build had me in tears. I forget I don't have my squad behind me. It's definitely something I recommend only for the professional Uranus players or the ones who know what they're doing. Lastly, the durable build. This will allow you to get a little bit more health regen in the early game, and swapping out the immortality for the Athenes, giving you quite a bit of shielding as well. Also, we can see we've swapped out both the boots from Boots of Tranquility to Tough Boots, giving you that little bit of extra defense. Alright guys, I've bottled down the emblems into 3 different trees that should suit you in any condition you fight in. So first off, my favorite, let's go with Vitality, Inspire, followed by Tenacity. This is my basic build. I've got some HP, I've got some cooldown reduction for my extra shields, and followed up with Tenacity, which will make me a little bit more tanky. The second build is more for the damage dealers. Now of course you can go into a mage build or a magical build if you really want to go full damage, but he still remains a tank to me, so I will do it in the tank emblems. Let's start out with Vitality, Inspire, followed by Attack and Defense to give you a little bit more magic attack to do some extra damage. Now as for the third tree, it depends on who you're going against. If you're going against a heavy AD team, I suggest going for Firmness, Fortress, and then followed by Tenacity. If you're going against a heavy mage team, I would go for Shield, Purity, followed by Tenacity. Alright guys, last but not least, his abilities. Now my favorite by far is Petrify. The reason for this is that not only can you do a little bit of extra damage, but you can combine it very nicely with his ultimate, providing a little bit of extra CC for your team. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. This was the Uranus Champion Spotlight. If you haven't had enough, check out my YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook page for daily live streams. This was me, Freddy, and as always, good night everybody.